You're listening to the Coffee Before You Talk to Me podcast, hosted by Bean Mug and Coffee Co.
Welcome to the Coffee Before You Talk to Me podcast, hosted by Bean Mug and Coffee Co. My name is Jose, along with my good friend Tom. Tom, who do we have with us today?
So Jose, good to be back. Season 2 of the podcast starting. We changed our setup here a little bit, so things look a little bit different. And our first guest here on the new set is my friend Ian from Black Bear Lake Day Camp. So a little bit of a different business than we've had before. But Ian, it's great to have you.
Super excited. I appreciate you guys having me out. Looking forward to spending some time with you chatting.
Absolutely. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So, listen, it's interesting. We had a lot of different guests on the show, some bakers, some food products, photographers. This is going to be a little something different. We haven't had a guest that has an industry like that you're in. But like every guest we ask on the show, we do want to get started with what gets you up in the morning.
Sure. It's a great question. So I think first off, what gets me up would be my alarm clock, which is definitely important. I think without it, I wouldn't be there. But more importantly, I love my job. I love going to camp every day. I love going to the office. I love working with the people that I work with and getting everything prepared for our summer season, which kicks off at the end of June. So being excited to go to work every day helps me get up for sure.
I mean, that's definitely great and super refreshing, I would say.
Man, I was going to say refreshing.
Hey, listen, refreshing is good. I mean, it's nice when you have somebody, I think especially in the world that you live in, dealing with kids all the time, that says getting up to go and hang out with them is refreshing, because Jose and I both have some younger kids. They go to camp, they go to school, and not everybody has that attitude. So it's refreshing from our end too.
Yeah, I think preparing for 10 months, which is what we do, right? It's a seasonal business, and the campers are there for 8 weeks in June, July, and August. And so preparing for 10 months, in the camp industry, we say that we live 10 months for 2. And that's truly a testament. So putting in all the hard work in the off season, quote unquote, if you will, to see 1,000 campers show up at the end of June and 250 staff show up and have an amazing experience is important.
You have 250 staff members?
We hire approximately 250 seasonal staff.
Wow. So how many? Okay, a question on the staff before we get get Jose too off track.
Sure.
No, you're fine.
I just love stuff like this. So how many full-time staff do you have year round?
So we're not a huge year-round team. There's about 5 of us year-round.
That's what I figured.
But then we rev up and we bring in, college students, high school students, adult teachers, coaches, parents. This is in addition to a maintenance team that gets the property ready and prepared during the summer. A kitchen staff. We serve all of our campers and staff lunch. So we hire a kitchen staff as well. We bus all of our campers, or at least a good percentage of them. Probably 80% of our campers take a bus. So
Wow.
Bus company, bus drivers. So it's a big undertaking for staffing. And as you guys...
I think it's a big undertaking for everything.
Yeah, definitely. And the staffing world hasn't been great the past few years. I think we can all agree to that.
I think there's been 2 main themes in probably every episode of the podcast that we've done with people. One is COVID and how everybody survived that. And 2 is staff. So when you have to hire 250 people, we've talked to people, you're just trying to find one person to work a Saturday and it's impossible. So if you pull that off, kudos to you.
Well, I think it's great that we're kicking off season 2 with our largest employer on the podcast, because I don't think that 250 people that's madness.
That's big time.
Yeah, and like you said, COVID and staffing, 2 of the big areas, affected my business and our business a lot the past few years.
And it's the hours where people want to work. It's during the summer. It's the summer's off. You got to find the person that's like, oh, I want to work in the summer.
Do you guys get a lot of teachers that take for summer jobs or counselors and stuff like that? Or is it more of a younger college kid?
No, it's fairly evenly split. So the college students and the high school students are, the counselors, the group leaders. They're in there with the kids. They're playing ball. They're doing the games and things like that. But we do hire, about 50 to 75 adult staff. And they are all, parents. Many of the parents have kids that come to camp. They're coaches, they're adults, teachers. It's a lot of us for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. You need it. I've seen kids at camp. They're crazy. You need a lot of people.
No, for sure, for sure. So I just want to circle back to kind of the beginning, like how you got involved. We talked earlier before we started, and
Sure.
you've been involved in camp as your career for quite a while. So if you don't mind, just
Happy to share the origin story, as
right?
they say, right?
Yeah.
So I grew up at camp. My sister and I, both of us went to day camp from 3 or 4 or however young we were at the time. We were both always day campers, never sleepaway, never resident camp, never had any interest in it. And I'm sure my parents were happy for that. So I went to camp. And then eventually worked at camp as a counselor, as a group leader, as a division head, all of these terms that are camp centric. And then at the time I was working at a private camp, not where I'm at currently, another private camp. And I always wanted to get into the camping industry, but it wasn't my family's camp. And my parents were not going to buy me a camp. And I always made this clear to the current owners of that camp. And so my senior year of college, I studied business and economics and entrepreneurship, all ready to graduate, put on the suit and tie, schlep into the city and do the traditional. And the owners offered me a full-time job, an assistant camp director position. So I took that. And that's been it ever since. I stayed at that camp for a number of years, eventually left that, did some other stuff, joined Black Bear Lake Day Camp in Millstone Township in 2011 as an assistant camp director, and eventually became a director, and then part owner in 2018. And I've been one of the owners ever since.
that's great.
Yeah, phenomenal. I mean, I think that just the story, like it's like I don't know, like an American dream kind of story. Not to like blow it up or anything, but literally something that you loved when you were young, and just worked your way from the bottom up to the top.
Yeah, and I think it's, to your point, it's really true. I was talking with another camp director recently, and we were discussing that camp director jobs are not in abundance, right?
Yeah.
If you're like any other job, you can pretty much find a position somewhere, whether it's New York or remote now.
Yep.
But camp director jobs are not all over, so you have to find the right camp. You have to find the right.
So many.
There aren't that many.
And there's not that many that could probably sustain year-round employment either, right? Because we talked earlier about, where my daughter goes to camp and stuff like that. And their facility is unique, different, very different from yours, but the facility operates year-round. So I would assume that the people that run the camp are involved in the entire facility. I'm not really 100% sure, but anywhere else around, there's not stuff like that.
No,
So,
you have to find the right camp. You have to find the right camp that has a position, a year-round position. Find the right camp that has owners who are willing to, take a shot or give you the opportunity. And you get outside New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, the camp world is very, very different. There certainly aren't many in the Midwest or California. It's a New York, New Jersey.
Really?
Yeah, it really is. It really is. There's not.
Never knew.
There's private camps and not-for-profit camps are definitely highly concentrated in the Northeast for sure.
Interesting.
See, I just assumed.
Yeah,
I
just
assumed like it was everywhere.
everybody does that with their kids in the summer is kind of just what I thought.
Me too.
But I guess not.
No, there's programs, smaller programs,
Yeah.
township, recreational
Right.
camps.
YMCAs,
And
things
we
like
have,
that.
that, and we
YMCAs.
have that kind of stuff here
Yeah.
too. But I guess, I guess
The private camps and things like
So what
that.
you're saying is just like everything else, we go big with camp in Jersey.
We do our best for
Oh,
sure.
I love it.
We do our
Love
best.
it.
No, and I tell you this, like there's a lot to do there too, and we'll get into it because
Oh,
I
yeah.
saw the website and I got a ton of questions
Listen,
on that.
I've
because-
been there, and I think I walked around like this the whole time, Jose.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's super
For
cool.
those watching on YouTube, Tom looks stunned. For those listening, Tom had a stunned face.
Yes, I had a stunned face for sure.
So can you share any defining moments that, like, obviously I know COVID was a big one. You got brought on as a part owner in 2018. Obviously COVID happens.
Sure. So 2018, 2019, normal summer, if you will, whatever that means in the camping world. And then 2020 happens, and we certainly don't need to, spend time on that. But, being a seasonal business, camp ends in August. September, we start prepping for the following year. So September, October, November, December, we're prepping. We're getting camp ready. We're enrolling campers. We're doing property management and upkeep, and then March happens. Obviously, March 2020, and I'm sure we all remember it was 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and we'll be back.
That's right.
And that just wasn't the case. So we stayed remote at camp for a few weeks. We all worked from home. But by mid-April, we were back at the office because we were thinking camp was going to open. I don't think anyone ever thought what was going to happen happened. So April, May, we're prepping to open camp and doing everything that was necessary to get there. Hiring staff, enrolling campers, spending money.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
We didn't know if it was coming back.
Right, a lot of money. We didn't even know from the state of New Jersey if we were going to be allowed to open until like Memorial Day weekend of that year. They still had to tell us that we were going to be allowed, that we could safely open, which we thought we could. We were outside and everything that factors into it. And then the state said yes, that camps could open, which was great. And then my team and I went back and forth for probably a month or so, trying to figure out how we were going to safely run everything. And we came to the decision in the middle of June that it just wasn't right for us. It wasn't right for me. There were camps that opened safely and ran, and I give them a ton of props.
I think the thing that you just said, Ian, is for me, it epitomizes the handling of COVID. It wasn't right for us. It wasn't right for me. And I think if everybody embraced that philosophy a little more,
Sure,
back in the throes of everything, it probably would have been a much better experience because, for me, for us that year, that was my daughter's first year that she was going to go to camp. So she was in kindergarten that year, and we thought it was really important if she can go because she's been locked in the house now for a couple of months.
Sure.
Not around her friends and not around kids. But I remember going and visiting some camps local to where we are to see if we're comfortable with sending her, how they're doing everything, like what are their protocols, and just generally if we'd like to camp, COVID aside. And it was really down to the wire with everybody to figure out if we're going to open, how we're going to open. So to make that decision must have been near impossible for you.
We would come in every day. And like I said earlier, there's, 4 or 5 of us year round. We would come in every day and I would tell the team, all right, we're going to focus today on how we're going to do lunch. How are we going to do lunch? We're going to do it outside. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I want everyone to work on some ideas. Let's come together in the afternoon and share those ideas. And we would do that. And we would say, all right, if we do this, this, and this is a great way to do lunch. Great, cross lunch off the list.
Yeah.
And then we would come back and say, oh, but how are we going to do this, this, and this? And there was just so much.
The list
of
never
that.
got it small.
Right.
The list never got small.
It probably kept growing.
It kept growing.
Right?
Yeah.
It kept growing.
You
and
had
then parents were uncomfortable too. And,
I think the other thing too is like when you go back and look at that year from like March to July even, where restaurants were kind of obviously doing their thing, but you saw how restaurants were doing it. There was almost like a blueprint. Like once somebody kind of figured it out, you kind of saw other restaurants filling it out
for the most part.
I mean, this is like where's the blueprint?
Well, and what's weird is like for like you said, restaurants. Like if I owned a restaurant and you owned a restaurant, and I heard you're doing things good, I could pop in and see what you're doing.
Yeah,
and there was time. Right, you're not operational until day one. So like you can't snuff out problems until they're already bigger problems when everybody's there.
And I think we were all, I mean, it's easy now, 4 years passed, but
has it been that long?
Yeah. But to think like we were all super worried and this was pre-vaccine too and everything, right? And we just couldn't get there. And also it's hard because we had enrolled 75-80% of our campers and had collected 75-80% of our money and spent 75% or 80%. It had all been gone. The pools were open. The tents that we have were up. Everything was ready to go.
Marketing dollars.
Oh, it was all spent. And we were, thankfully Black Bear has a great reputation and a great base and parents and this and that. But we were worried that parents were going to say, give us everything back.
Yeah.
And thankfully, we wrote a really nice letter and told parents and asked them if we could hold the money for the following year, and if so, we gave them a little bit of a credit on their money, and 75% of the family said, keep it. We'll be back next year.
That's fantastic.
And thankfully,
goes to show for the reputation you have, and I'm sure the repeat kids that you have year after year. At that point, hey, listen, we're missing this year, but we know we're going to be back next year. So yeah, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But again, like the issues that it causes the business are still there.
Oh, absolutely.
What did you guys? All right. So what did you guys do all summer?
Yeah, it sucked.
Solitaire, Parcheesi.
It sucked a lot.
It really sucked because I was a camp director without a camp to direct.
Yeah.
So we went to the office every day.
Okay.
We wanted to get to the office. By the middle of the summer, things had started to improve a little bit. So we started doing some like little week-long camps, giving our current families an opportunity to come out for a half a day, Monday through Friday, for a sports camp or a crafting camp. Do crafts in the morning, lunch, swim, quick. Didn't make any money, but it was goodwill, and it got the parents out to camp.
What gave everybody back their sanity too for a week.
We were able to say, hey, just come out,
By July of that year, people were like, please, I'll go
do something, right?
Somebody open your door, please.
I have to get this kid out of my house.
The good thing about it is we also were able to do some stuff on the property that we never had the opportunity to paint the fence that's been there for 30 years that we've never gotten to. Now, we didn't have any money to do it, but at least we were able to get to areas around camp that we were able to do some property upkeep. But it wasn't fun. It definitely wasn't fun.
No, but it's cool that you're still able to do some stuff for the kids, and you were able to take some of that time to, get to things you didn't get to previously or whatever. I think that's a lot for, a lot of the businesses that struggled through it. They were able to focus on other things, hopefully, or, for us, that's where Bean Mugging came from. So, it kind of sprung out of COVID and changes to our other business. So there's positives wrapped in there.
I don't think you get many chances to reset.
No.
And I think that allowed people to like step back and like, go, okay, listen, what can we do here?
It also gave us an opportunity to look at the business and think of things that maybe we had to do because of COVID, and maybe we should continue to do them. Yeah. Maybe there were things that we added because 21 came, and although camp opened, the world was still spinning. We ran camp in 2021 vastly different than the way we ran it prior to COVID, and the way we run it now. We were outside. We were still masked if we were indoors. We were still running camp really, really different in 2021. And a lot of those protocols and procedures, I think we still keep to make the business better. It also gave us an opportunity to look at things that we can change and edit and cut and, spend money differently and things like that.
Yeah.
Listen, if you can get through all that time spending money or with money that you already spent, and continue on and continue to do things and figure it out, you'll figure out how to spend your money a lot better after the fact. I mean, that for me, like that was a great lesson that I learned through it, was if I can go all these months that I went without making literally a dime, and I'm still around, it's a good lesson.
You figured it out, right?
You cut the fat too, right? Like,
absolutely.
Whether it's personally, with your personal finances at that time, or business finances, or the camp's finances, you look at things so differently that you never would have looked at them before. So it's, positives and everything, right?
Absolutely.
So, are there still were there activities you had back then that you had to do because of COVID that you kept around? Or is everything kind of activity wise back to
everything
pre-COVID?
For the most part came back to normal in summer 22, and then 23 and obviously 24. 21 was hard. There were a lot of things we didn't do, but everything pretty much came back to normal after that. Cool. I don't think we cut anything that didn't need to be cut, and brought back everything that we were comfortable we could safely run.
And what are some of the activities and stuff like that we have at Black Bear?
Sure. So the biggest difference between Black Bear Lake and a lot of the other area camps, which are all great camps, mind you, is we're an elective-based camp. We're an elective-driven, a choice-based camp.
I like this.
Our campers design their own schedules. They pick and choose the activities they want to do every week. So as opposed to So as
I got the
opposed,
shocked face again.
No,
Sorry.
yeah.
yeah, so
Well,
it's,
I saw it online when he was like, "Hey, on a sliding scale, pick 8 that you like or something." Right? Is that
yeah, so it's the traditional camp is we're in a group of 15 of us, and we travel from basketball to crafts to pottery to volleyball, and you like basketball and I like volleyball and you like tennis, and half the group hates all those activities, and makes for a very potential disruptive group.
Mhm.
So we look at things very differently, and we give every camper, once they're in first grade and above, the opportunity to design their own schedule. They do it online. They do it every Sunday with their parents. They pick all of their choices. They pick eight choices that they want. We program them for 4 or 5 of them every week. So there are campers at Black Bear who do sports all summer. That's all they want to do. They just want to play ball. They don't want to do any indoor stuff, and that's fine. And then we have the opposite. We have campers who probably all they want to do is indoor activities. All they want to do is crafts and cooking and science and woodworking and pottery and rocketry and everything that's an indoor activity. They don't want to do sports. They don't like it. They're not good at it. Maybe they spend 10 months of the year playing competitive basketball or travel soccer, and they come to camp and they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go on the ropes course. I want to go fishing. I want to do things that I can't do for 10 months a year. So it's really, really different than a lot of the other programs.
traditional camp?
That
Wow.
is super different. And I'm almost embarrassed to say I didn't realize
know.
how in depth I saw on the website, about electives and stuff. And I made the assumption that was like electives at other camps where you do your thing like you described.
Sure.
And then, hey, on this Thursday, we have this. If you'd like to sign up for it, we take 40 kids to go do it or
Right.
whatever. And it is not that at all.
No, it's way
And-
more involved. It's
And
way more involved.
They get to do it, pick every single week.
So so campers every Sunday, they do it for a week. And there are campers that pick new schedules every week. There are campers that keep the same schedule.
How hard is your scheduling? Because
Well,
I get people that are like, hey, we need to have this information for your kids' stuff 4 months in advance on where they're going to be on this Tuesday at 1:00, and you're Sunday sending it in.
So we have a software program that does probably 80% of the work for us.
Okay, that's good. God bless technology.
And then we have 2 seasonal staff members who their sole job is scheduling. They look at the program, they look at the printout, they make sure the program didn't glitch and put 100 kids in horseback riding when it should only put 10. And she and the other people who are in the scheduling department spend Monday through Friday scheduling. So when the campers come in on Monday of the following week, we hand them their schedule and they're good to go.
Now, was it always like that?
Yes. So the original owners of the camp, in order to separate themselves when they built it in 95, 30 summers ago, wanted to do different stuff. In Monmouth County, there are a lot of summer programs, a lot of day camps.
Sure.
So in order to differentiate themselves from everywhere else, they came up with this elective program. I take no credit for it.
Yeah.
The camp I went to was way more traditional. When I joined Black Bear, I said, I don't understand this. This is,
Yeah.
how does this
Yeah.
work?
Like, who's checking those schedules?
Right.
Yeah.
It's so
And then, listen, in 95, there was no software doing that scheduling.
it was
for
all
them.
done on paper.
Pen and
Yeah.
paper.
Yeah. And then at some point, even in the early 2000s, still before I started, they were using QR codes.
Oh my goodness.
If we're dating ourselves. And then the program's technology evolved as such. And we have 1,000 campers. So it's 1,000, let's say 900 schedules. Our youngest campers don't do electives. Our 3, 4, and 5-year-olds don't do electives. But first graders and up do.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And like, I can understand even a little bit more, outside of, your personality and the way you obviously, treat the kids and treat your staff and all those reasons that everybody wants to come back every year. That reason really must bring them back because it's not the same boring, mundane experience from day to day, from week to week, year to year. It's always different.
Absolutely. The program evolves with the camper every year, and campers can come back every summer and get into something new and exciting, or by the middle part of the summer, see their friends who have signed up for our 50-foot high ropes course and normally would have never signed up for it, but their friends in their group are talking about it, and now they want to try it towards the end of the summer. Or fishing, which is very popular. We have a 5-acre lake on our property. Fishing, which is super popular, and they see their friends catching fish, and they decide
you're not tied to one schedule for the summer.
Yeah, it's so cool.
So that's great. No, I think it's cool.
That's super cool.
I was going to ask, like, what differentiates your camp from other camps. We're going to cross that question off the list.
Yeah, I mean, we answered that one. People must have thought when they did that, when they first opened the camp, everybody must have thought they were nuts.
I think so. And I think a lot of the traditional camp directors, the old school camp
they
directors,
laughed.
this is
They're
like,
we're not going.
They
to,
laughed.
Like, this isn't.
that's not what you're supposed to do. You're
Well,
supposed to tell every child to play baseball and do basketball. And also, there's other factors too. A lot of other camp programs, 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade boys should be playing sports all summer, right? 7th, 8th, and 9th grade girls should be doing crafts all summer. That's not the world we live in anymore.
No.
I have a very strong group of 7th and 8th grade girls at Black Bear who play ball all summer, better than half of the boys.
Yeah.
But if they went to any other program, they would not get that opportunity.
Yeah.
And then I have a handful of boy campers who spend a lot of time in our drama program. We have a really extensive theater program. That wouldn't be the case anywhere else because they would be pigeonholed into go play baseball.
And like it must, just like when your kids are in school and you're hoping that they have a well-rounded curriculum and they do all these extra activities, there it just continues all summer, which is super cool because like my daughter plays basketball now, right? Just started. It's complicated. 4th grade girls basketball is very interesting. But you could see the girls who are those girls who all they want to do all summer long is play ball. Because it goes up to 6th grade. So all the 6th grade girls are really good.
Sure.
And some of them are standouts, but I could see them going to we'll call it a regular camp or a
traditional
day camp and doing the same thing all summer and never experiencing something else that they might love just as much.
You can call any other camp in the area probably now and say, tell me what my 4th grade daughter will be doing at camp. And they will open up their schedule book because it's probably done.
Yeah.
And they'll read you. On Monday, period 1, they're going to do this. On Tuesday, period 2, they're going to do this. That never happens here.
That's super cool.
Never happens.
I love it.
How many total activities do you guys have at your camp?
There's approximately 50 to 60 electives every week to choose from. Not every elective is available every week. Not every elective is available to every grade or age dependent. But on average, it's about 50 to 60.
And like we're talking about like from doing crafts to, you said ropes courses.
We have a 50-foot high ropes course that we put in last summer. We have a zip line. We have a giant swing. We have rock walls. We have bungee trampolines.
And somewhere in this conversation, you said the word rocketry. Are we having like build rocket classes at camp? Because if that's the case, I want to go.
Yeah, it's part of our science program.
That's cool.
It's, a throwback a little bit. They get the model rockets. They build them. And we take them out into the field in one of those ginormous launchers and launch them up. And hopefully they come back and the kids get to take it home after they launch it.
Like, where are you finding that?
Nowhere.
Right.
Nowhere.
That's great.
What is the most popular elective?
I figured you were going to ask that.
Yeah. I just for my own selfishness because I have an idea of what it could be, but I'm curious.
So one of the most popular electives is, like I said, we have a 5-acre lake, and on the lake we have all of these inflatables that go out on the lake. So there's a water trampoline, there's a jungle gym, there's a rope swing, there's monkey bars. It's almost like a Ninja Warrior course on the lake.
Okay.
Based on your face, I'm guessing you saw.
Yeah. So I went on the website because obviously I wanted to see what's going on here.
Yeah.
But I was looking at it though from like, okay, listen, if I was 10-year-old Jose, 11-year-old Jose, like what would you be doing here? And I'm telling you, I'd be on that inflatable course the whole day.
Listen, 40-year-old Jose would be on that inflatable
That's
course.
also
Jose,
true.
Don't lie.
That's true.
Yeah, we do a parent day in the summer.
I was just going to ask.
And so parents come. It's on a Sunday in the summer.
Yeah.
The parents come with their kids. And the campers basically are dragging them to everything they've been doing for the duration of the summer on the lake water park and the pool. And we serve, a really nice barbecue. And, oh, by the way, that's when we decide to say, hey, enrollment for next year is open too. And
Sure.
it's a good opportunity to do that. But it's,
No,
the lake water park.
Yeah, I can imagine. And when did that come
100%.
in there?
It's evolved over time. There were parts of it there that were there before me.
Okay.
And it has changed over the past few years. We've added some elements, we've taken away some elements, but it definitely remains one of the most popular. I would say every camper has probably experienced some time on the lake water park, and even our 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, our cubs is what we call them.
Yeah.
They get to do it as well. They get to go out on it. Everyone's in a life jacket. There's lifeguards. It's super safe. But even the
That's
youngest
cool.
campers do it.
Have you seen it on the website? Or no?
You know what? I've seen it.
Okay.
Right. And I think, so I'm the one, for everybody watching, I'm the one that knows Ian a little bit and how he ended up joining us here today. So I think, unfortunately, to some level, Jose did more Black Bear Day Camp research than I did, because I was like, well, I know what Ian does, and I've seen the website before.
Well, you'll both have to come out to camp when
now,
things are ready.
And when I came to camp, it was like a rainy, snowy, like February day. I came out to see you at the camp, and we toured the whole thing.
On a golf cart, I assume.
We do have a few golf carts.
I think there might.
It was like
it's a
ton of acres, though, right?
It's 42 acres.
42 acres.
It's huge. So like we toured the whole thing, and I drove around with the shock and awe face the whole time, because there was just more and more and more.
Doesn't stop.
But I guess I didn't really like get the full understanding, because it was off season. Right. So everything isn't actually, well, it's there and the buildings are there, and you can tell me this happens here and this happens here.
Yeah, the lake water park is not set up. The dining
up.
hall is empty. There's not kids running around the dining hall and things like that. It definitely looks different when the weather turns.
So you start working there in 2011. You become part owner in 2018.
Correct. Yep.
Now, social media obviously has evolved 16, 15, 20 times since then. And so what part of like the challenges did you see like in like the social media space?
So I'm not super tech savvy. And we work with a marketing company that helps for sure. So I don't claim to be an expert in that. But the creation of, a Facebook page, which has now evolved into the Instagram account, other Google AdWords and SEO and everything associated with it, to email campaigns. We work with a third party that does our email blasts and things along those lines, organic posts and videos on social media. It's probably changed since we started this conversation, to be honest. There's probably something new.
So true.
Yeah, well, they're doing a good job, because what happened was, so like I on Google, I went online to look at the website, and they showed like this video. It's a great video. Aerial shots, drone shots, kids having fun, all these different activities. And then I think the next day I was on Facebook, and here comes the ad. Just come. Yeah. It was right there. So
I'll keep sending them the check. That's
so the sponsor guy worked.
It's working.
But what was great about it, though, is it was the same video from the website. So like it was like,
so you could
I identified it immediately.
Brand recognition. You knew about it, right?
So we filmed that in like 2018, 2019. We redid the video. They were out at camp for like a week. We did a video just based on the elective program. We did a video based on our swim program. We did some parent testimonials. We did all of that, which lives on the website and social media and stuff.
And Jose, I don't know if you got to check out the Facebook page. And I know Ian is over here going, I'm not a social media guy. I'm not a tech savvy guy. He makes great camp videos.
I do. I think the campers and probably the parents, have expected. And so, there's definitely some posts that are probably Ian specific.
Oh, definitely. It's cool though, because I think a lot of people that come or, go to other camps, go to your camp, whatever, they probably don't expect to interact with one of the owners every day when they're there potentially, or even through social media, if with the parents can go on and see and go, that's the guy that's in charge of my kids this summer. And he's fun, and he's going to take care of them, and he's going to show them a good time, and his staff is going to do the same.
I'm super hands-on, probably even a little too much. I should probably pull back on some stuff, but between programming and curriculum and the lunch menu, every detail. I was outside earlier with one of my maintenance guys looking at a project that I really don't need to be involved in, but I was looking at it with him. So yeah, I'm really, really hands-on. Parents can call and get me anytime. I respond to emails. after hours. My wife yells at me for that, but I certainly, they send an email, I want to respond. I think customer service is dead in this world.
I agree.
And I tell my people who work for me year round that we're not going to be that. Parents send an email, we get back to them.
I don't know if we had this conversation last week or recently though, but customer service is the only thing that differentiates any company at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
I believe that in almost any space.
For most spaces, yeah. I mean, you know, Ian's got this unique setup at camp where, you know, we talked about the electives and everything you have there, but outside of that, it's the customer service experience, whether it's, you know, with people reaching out to you or dealing with your campers every day. That's really it.
I tell the year-round team and the office staff, for the most part, that we have 8 weeks to earn all of our money for the entire year. That's it. I can't be a pizzeria who has a off Friday and we'll go back to them in a few weeks. And I'm sure it was just, you know, something was off. We'll go back.
Yeah.
We have literally 39 days to earn enough money to run us for 12 months. So when something goes wrong the second or third day of camp, it's got to get fixed quickly.
Yeah.
And I don't want that to travel into week 2 because you're losing time with these parents.
How long do they have to commit to? Like, and typically,
so there's a 4-week minimum,
okay,
and then the full summer is 8 weeks, and you can do anywhere between 4 and 8. The average camper comes 6-7 weeks.
6-7 weeks, yeah. No, I think it's important, but it's customer service because listen, the first 4 weeks they go, I'm okay here. So you're right, you have to capitalize on all of it.
And I tell, you know, the office staff that works for us in the summer that it's okay if you don't know the answer. That's fine. We'll find the answer. We'll talk to the staff member. We'll go out and get the group leader, reply to the parent, call the parent back. Hey, we're on top of it. You know, give us 12 hours. We got to go do a little research, but we understand and we follow up. And that's what we do.
That's a great way to handle it too, because I mean, I understand like it's 2024 and everybody's a slave to their email, or you send a text and you're like, when am I getting my response? But sometimes just acknowledging that you got it, even though you can't help me right now in this moment for whatever the reason is, because you know why? All those counselors are out there playing with the kids and taking care of the kids, but just acknowledging that you got it.
Absolutely.
Go so far with people.
Yeah, and we'll figure it out. We'll get to the bottom of it. We'll solve it. But I assure the parent, or the office staff assures the parent, that we're on top of it, and we'll figure it out, because you want to make sure that the kids come back, right? That's the end of that's the end of the game is the return rate and getting the campers to come back for 10 years, which many of our campers do.
That's great.
So where do you see the camp going like in the future now?
So I think one of the biggest areas that we have continued to grow and would like to continue to grow is extending the use of the property. So children's summer day camp primary business, but we have a very large picnic and event business that runs from Memorial Day to Labor Day, where we host weddings, bar mitzvahs, sweet 16s, corporate picnics, family reunions on the weekends, of course, not when the campers are there. And that business has been going on a long time, and that continues to grow. We also have a year-round gymnastics program that lives on our property, and we have an 8,000 square foot gymnastics facility with 600 athletes, and that operates 7 days a week. So finding more uses for the property, you know, it's hard as costs continue to go up. I don't have to tell you guys, you know, labor costs, everything. You have to find other ways to generate revenue. So what else can you do with the property? You know, are there other programs? Are there year-round activities that you can instill? And that's really where I think the growth is. The camp will evolve as it does with new activities and improvements and facility upkeep. But if we can find other ways to enhance the property and get more people to come out, then I think that's a home run.
Are your events only Labor Day or Memorial Day to Labor Day, or do you kind of work outside of that as well just to expand the season?
So the property, the way it's designed, we don't have a lot of winterized space yet.
Okay.
But that is something that we love the opportunity to do as we get further along. You know, winterizing. We have a dining hall. All our kids eat inside an air-conditioned dining facility, which is great in the summer. It's not winterized for winter. But adding those type of improvements to do other events.
Yeah.
Because it's cool. But like doing the events is great, but you're not really extending your season much,
Right.
So you're still kind of operating in that very finite window, with the exception of the gymnastics school.
So we've been talking and have been since probably pre-COVID about building like an indoor soccer building.
Okay.
Similar to some of the facilities, turf field. And that would be a program that would run 12 months. And so we would do trainings and things like that. So that's on our list of improvements.
Those places are super popular too. There's one in down not far from you guys in Hamilton.
Mhm.
There's an indoor. There's like a soccer bubble. I did an event there years ago too, and like it's for other stuff even besides soccer. People have weekend events there.
Absolutely.
All kinds of stuff.
I mean,
Inside.
soccer's not for me, not my favorite sport,
Right.
but people who are into soccer, it's the
Oh,
only
they're
sport.
diehard.
It's
Yeah.
the only sport.
Yeah,
So anything
yeah.
you can do on turf, right? So
Yeah.
whether it's soccer,
Indoor
whether it's
football,
lacrosse or flag football,
games, things like that, that could be fun.
speed and agility training,
Yeah.
Anything you can do on turf field. And all of these communities are looking for indoor space to rent. So that's on our list. Hopefully
Wow.
we get there in the next
Good
few
one.
years, but that's what we're
Yeah.
working on now.
I think it's interesting, like you're saying, like using all that space and maximizing how many, the day camps will be Monday through Friday,
Correct.
and now we have stuff to do on the weekends. It's
Right.
open again. So
Right.
those that opened up the schedule almost.
Yeah, so now you're open 7 days a week instead of just 5 days a week, because you'll take corporate or private events on the weekend.
Team building things like
Yeah.
that, the rope course.
So now it's really about expanding outside of Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Right. And we've done groups. We do 100-person family reunion. We've done corporate functions of up to 3,000. So we can run a big event for
So,
sure.
Camp, you said there's 1,000 campers, right?
Approximately.
Is that like the max, like 1,000, like more or less?
Yeah, that's about where we should be.
Okay.
Day camp's different, right? Like
Yeah.
you could there's always room for another camper. It's not sleepaway camp where
right, we're running out
the
of
bed
beds.
is filled, the bed is
Yeah,
full. You're not
yeah.
going to build another bunk.
As long as you have another staff, another counselor, you can
Right,
keep
as long as the
adding.
ratio matches,
Yeah.
as long as there's room on the bus theoretically.
Yeah.
But you can always find room for campers for the most part. But that's kind of our sweet spot. That's
Gotcha.
where we should
Yeah, I
be.
mean, because even if you could find more staff, which maybe you can, maybe you can't. The facility only is what the facility is. It still has its limitations there. There's only so many kids that can climb the rope course and go on the water park thing.
Yeah, we don't want to be too big.
Yeah.
We have 3 pools. We have a lunchroom. You don't want to just cash the check and
Yeah.
the parent or the camper says, well, the pool's so crowded, the dining hall's so crowded,
Yeah.
I can't get everything done. That's not what we want to be.
It changes the whole experience.
Absolutely.
For the camper at that point. It's just not as enjoyable for them if they don't get to do the things they want to do because it's overcrowded.
The incremental achievement, if you will, is not worth it.
No, you're not going to compromise the overall experience.
Correct.
And
Absolutely.
I think that's the key. I think that's great.
For
That's
sure.
part of it.
Yeah.
For sure.
No doubt about it.
So I guess as we're wrapping up here, I guess 2 things. I don't know how many listeners it's their dream to open a day camp. I don't know, but
Sounds like a lot of
what advice would you give, I guess, younger like entrepreneurs or just somebody who's like thinking of opening a getting it not into the space directly, but something that's like outdoor activity, some type of business where like you're going to do something outdoors or some type of football field or whatever the case may be, but something in that space, like the challenges that you have.
I think you have to be all in, which is probably not as easy for the younger generation that maybe it was for us or even our parents. So being committed. And so if it's summer camp, you're not going to retire as a camp director, unless you get to a certain level. So finding camps, going to camps, spending the summer at camp, connecting with the right director, getting involved in the American Camp Association or all these other organizations, volunteering, being present, when I put out an email to my staff who's willing to come in on Saturday and vacuum the pools, the people who want to be in the industry should say, sure, no problem, Ian, I'll be there. You pay me whatever it is, or can you help me move the buses from parking lot A to parking lot B on a Sunday? great, I'm in. So, and I think everyone in this day and age, at least I see, is especially younger folks. When did we become old? Younger,
I don't know.
younger
but it's
folks
happened.
is
Listen, I'm barely still hanging on to my
Yeah.
30s.
Right?
So
What happened?
Jose hasn't cracked the.
Oh, you're not in the 40s yet?
40s
not
no.
yet. August, like six
You're
months or
close.
so. I mean,
Close
so
enough.
so far away.
But everyone wants like the instant gratification. I'm
Yeah.
going to be a camp director. I'm going to run a camp. I'm going to make six figures. And that's not, that may happen.
Yeah, but you're like you said before. First of all, the opportunities are finite in that space, right?
Remember, there's 5 full-time
And-
employees. The other ones
and
are seasonal.
You add to that, like you said earlier, unless maybe your parents are going to buy you a camp, you're going to get to that position the way you got to that position,
Right.
which is by being committed
Absolutely.
and putting in the hard work and showing up every day and doing the extras. And really the way that a lot of people become successful in different businesses, but maybe even more so because there's kind of not a lot of places to go.
I'm sure maybe now my parents would probably say it worked out, but
Yeah.
at 22 out of
I
college,
bet they were mad as hell.
hey, mom and dad, you know that camp thing that I've been doing? Well, they offered me a full-time job and forget everything I've been doing for the past 4 years and the upside of if you will, upside of, New York City. I'm gonna give this a shot,
Yeah.
at 40 grand a year and hope
Yeah,
for the best.
But it's a lesson in like believing in yourself.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
I think like so many times young kids now, it's like, well, let me ask my parents, what do they think I should do? And I don't know if that's going to work. Because one, they're not connected to how it works today because they're going to give you advice about how it worked 30 years ago.
Right.
And two, like at the end of the day, like you know what's best for you and your gut.
Yeah.
And like it doesn't happen at the same age for everybody. It happened for me much later in life.
I mean, I
But-
think a lot of kids now too are like, you have this like mapped out plan, right, of what you think is supposed to happen or how you're supposed to get there or what you're supposed to get. And sometimes, maybe more often than not, it's about the path that's presented to you, right? Like my life has been very much that way. Like I didn't really set out to do any of the things that I do currently when I was in high school or starting college. And for you were going to college, working at the camp, and got offered a job, and that presented itself to
Absolutely.
you, and you went, I can go down this road, and the road just kept going.
I didn't even know it was a thing. Like,
Yeah,
full-time camping is a thing. Back
Yeah.
in the day, camp directors, camp owners were teachers. That's
Right.
what, they worked as teachers and they just went to camp in the summer and unlocked the doors, in June and kids showed up. The camp world has changed even in the past 20 years, since 25 years, whatever it's been. It just has changed so much that now, every camp director that I know, and they're full-time year round. The teachers are the ones that come up to camp for the summer now.
Well, I gotta imagine too, and it's people who are like passionate. Like you're obviously super passionate about camping.
Absolutely. Yeah. Appreciate
For
that.
sure.
Thank you.
And I think that's what separates it though, is like camps from 30, 40 years ago. It's like, listen, we have a lot of space on this land and our family owns this property and we can host a lot of kids here. So we're going to do it. And that's probably how some camps got started 50 years ago.
yeah, and I mean, listen.
Now
like,
it's,
I joke
if
before,
you're doing it because you want to do it.
right, and like I joked before about where am I going to send the kid this summer, and like there's reality to that, right? But even for people like you said that, hey, we have this space, let's start the camp because people got to do something with their kids. It's like taking advantage of the situation, I guess.
Mhm.
But when you have somebody like you, Ian, who like, I don't know if your calling is the right way to say it, but it shows through. And I think it makes everybody more comfortable of, well, I'm not just sending my kids somewhere to send my kids somewhere for the summer, and
Yeah,
that's
I'm
why
definitely not going through the
No,
motions.
that is not you.
And I can't work with people, whether they're year round, whether they're seasonal, whether it's just a college kid, who just wants to go through the motions.
Yeah.
They won't work. It won't work for us.
And I mean, I'm sure we've encountered that in every walk of life, but it's different when you're talking about giving your kids to somebody for the summer, essentially.
I
and-
tell staff, group leaders, counselors, you can make more money
Yeah.
at Wawa,
More money
at
at all
Target,
places.
any, if if all you want to do is make the most money, which is fine, and I have no issue with that. But if that's all you're looking for, camp's not for you.
Correct. It's like somebody that's going to be a teacher too.
Right.
You know, like you can make a lot of money
Absolutely.
doing a lot of things, but being a teacher generally is not one
Not
of them.
it.
So the people that are committed to that are like the people that are committed in your position. too.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Absolutely.
As we wrap up here, one final question for you. What is your favorite Jersey Shore memory?
It's a good question. So I think my favorite memory, or at least the one that resonates most, is when my parents would take my sister and I down to Point Pleasant, Jenkinson's Boardwalk, and the rides when we were, obviously much younger. We would go a few times over the summer, walk the boardwalk, skee ball. I still have really, really fond memories of that. I'm sure my sister does as well. And so I think that's probably what, sits with me the most, for sure.
I think that's maybe one other common theme is all the Jersey Shore memories have to do with the beach and the boardwalk, which
Absolutely.
is pretty appropriate.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you
And
both
thanks for joining us.
This was awesome. I had a great time.
All right,
Awesome.
guys.
Good stuff.
So long.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Coffee Before You Talk to Me. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Bean Mug and Coffee Co. and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Until next time, keep that coffee hot. And please, coffee before you talk to me.